Problem number 1 asks us to identify the coefficient and the exponent in this term right here. So the term that we're looking at in number 1 is 7r to the third. Now, this 7, that's the coefficient. The coefficient is the multiplier of the variable. And that 3, that's the exponent. The coefficient tells us how many of these things there are. So we have 7 times 7 of these things here. The exponent tells us how many of those bases we have. In number 2, we're asked to evaluate this polynomial x squared plus 4 when x is equal to 5, and then later for x equals negative 6. So what we're going to do here is just to replace the x with a 5. So we're going to get, let's do what it says, we'll get 5 squared plus 4. Now the order of operations, we raise the powers before we add, so we'll get 25 plus 4, 29. So what we have going on here is, here's a set of computing instructions. When a 5 comes in, what does this say in this instruction tell us to do? That instruction turns a 5 into a 29. And now, let's try it for 6. So we'll take that negative 6 and put it in for x. So be careful here. Negative 6 squared plus 4. That's 36 plus 4. We're going to get 40. All right, so at 5 we get 29. At negative 6 we get 40. So be careful here. Now at this negative 6, it is not this. Negative 6 plus 4. Okay? No way. This is negative 36 plus 4, which is negative 32. So that's not what we're looking for. When it says x is negative 6, you need that negative 6 to be included under the square. Negative, just a 2 here. So I'm going to change this. I don't want negative 2. I want 2 and then negative 2. So let's evaluate this expression here at 2 first. Now think of this as a set of computing instructions. How does it instruct us to operate on this 2? Well, replace all the x's with that 2. So we will get 4 times 2 squared minus 7 times 2 plus 4. By the order of operations, we'll do the power. So we'll get 4 times 4 minus 7 times 2 plus 4. Now we've got a multiplication, a subtraction, addition. Do the multiplications first. We'll get 16 minus 14 plus 4. Now just go left to right with these addition subtractions. 16 minus 14 is 2 plus 4. That leaves us with a 6. And now let's use this negative 2. So let's replace all the x's here with negative 2. So we will get 4 times negative 2 squared, right? Be careful, that negative's included now, minus 7 times negative 2 plus 4. We'll do the power first, right? Run the power first. So we'll get 4 times 4, and then negative 7 times negative 2, that's going to be a plus 14 this time, plus 4. So we'll get 16 plus 14 plus 4. Over here we'll get 30 plus 4, we'll get 34. So to get some room, I just erased problem number 3, but I'll write number 4 here. We want to compute 3x to the 5th minus 6x to the 4th plus 4x cubed minus x squared, first of all for x equals 1, and then maybe for negative 1. So let's start here by putting the 1 in for each one of those x's, right? Substitute 1 for each one of those x's. We will get 3 times 1 to the 5th minus 6 times 1 to the 4th plus 4 times 1 to the 3rd minus 1 squared. Now, running through all these powers, 1 to any power is just 1. So we're going to get 3 times 1 minus 6 times 1 plus 4 times 1 minus 1. Now, let's do these multiplications before the addition and subtractions. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 times 1 is 4, minus 1. And now just move left to right. 3 minus 6 is negative 3, plus 4 minus 1. Left to right, negative 3 plus 4 is 1, minus 1, we get a 0 out of this. So this set of computing instructions here converts a 1 to a 0. Now let's evaluate it at negative 1. What if we put in a negative 1? So substitute negative 1 into each one of these x's. Things will look like this now. 3 times negative 1 to the 5th minus 6 times negative 1 to the 4th plus 4 times negative 1 to the 3rd minus negative 1 squared. So let's do these, run through these powers first. Now negative 1, 1 to any power is 1, but so what I've got here is 5 negative signs. An odd number of negatives, that's negative. Over here an even number of negatives is positive. Over here an odd number of negatives is negative. And lastly, an even number of negatives is positive. So we know what we're going to get here. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 1. So this is going to be 3 times negative 1 minus 6 times positive 1. Yeah? Negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. You got 4 negatives giving us a positive. And then plus 4 times negative 1, right? Negative 1 cubed is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. You got 3 negatives, that gives you a negative. And then minus negative 1 squared is 1. Let's multiply. So we'll get 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, minus 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 times negative 1 is negative 4, minus 1. You catch that one here? Positive 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Now let's just go left to right. So we'll get negative 3 minus 6 is negative 9, minus 4 minus 1. Negative 9 minus 4 is negative 13 minus 1. That gives us negative 14.